afternoon and welcome. We're here on our second live video chat. Today we're joined with World 100m Freestyle Champion James Magnussen.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's good to have you, James. Are you ready for the questions?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Good. Here they come. First question is from Jeff. I've always struggled with freestyle kicking. How can I obtain a stronger kick?
It's personally probably my weakest thing in swimming as well. I really don't like doing kicking. I've recently found that when I do kick with the kickboard, if I use a snorkel, it puts my body in a better position and I'm a much faster kicker and more efficient kicker. And then I can get through more distance of kick. And to be honest, the more kick you do, the better you get at it. So try using a snorkel when you're using a kickboard, and it might come a lot easier to you, because it certainly did for me.
Okay, thanks Jeff, and thanks James. Okay, how many breaths do you take in a major 50-metre long course race? This is from Anthony.
Just one breath at the moment. I've changed things around in different points in my career, but at the moment I take one breath at about the 35-metre mark. I've tried taking no breaths, but I feel like that fatigues me quicker, and I can keep my speed up better if I just sneak in one quick breath at the 35 metres.
We have a little audience behind here. We're filming our full winter collection today, 2014, so you'll have to excuse the people back and forth. Third question is from Julia. During your career, who do you consider to have been your toughest competitor?
I mean, you know, I've had a number of tough competitors. I think obviously Nathan Adrian from the USA is very tough, and we've gone back and forwards for the last few years now. Within Australia, Eamon Sullivan was someone that took me quite some time to beat. And then, you know, I think your toughest competitors are often your day-to-day squad mates that you're training day in, day out with, and racing on a daily basis. And I think that's a really good thing. But yeah, I'd say internationally it'd have to be Nathan Adrian, and then in the relay team USA.
Okay, Marco has a question. He wants to know the best piece of advice you've ever been given.
I mean, I've been given a lot of advice, especially over the past year, but I think the best piece of advice I've been given is to live every moment in the now. I think in the past I've spent a lot of time thinking, what if I win this race, what if I do this or that, or what if I lose this race, or what if, you know, something else happens. And I think it's a really important lesson in life to live every moment in the now, not to worry about the future, not to worry about the past, and to control what you can, and that's you know, each moment that you're living right now.
Thank you. Who was your childhood hero?
I guess if you're talking in terms of swimming, probably Michael Klim. He was a 100 freestyler, led the Australian relay team to victory in the 2000 Olympics. Internationally, Peter van den Hoogenband. He beat Ian Thorpe in the 200 freestyle at the Sydney Olympics, which broke most Australians' hearts, but you know, I thought it was, you know, one of the best swims I've ever seen, and then he went on to win the 100 freestyle as well. So they're my two swimming heroes. Outside of that, within Australia, I really like the sport of rugby, and I have a few personal heroes in that as well.
What about superheroes?
Superheroes, probably Batman, because he's not too different from your average person. He's just makes the most of what he's got.
Okay, Alexander wants to know how you stay motivated when you're having a bad day.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think you really have to draw on your surroundings, draw on you know, the people in your life to pick you up. I think if you surround yourself with really positive people in your life, and you know, if you're having a tough day, then you can look to them for inspiration, encouragement, positivity. And I think also you have to sort of, when it comes to training, if I'm having a tough day, I have to really keep my end goal in mind, and to push myself day by day to try and achieve that ultimate goal. So yeah, you know, I definitely have at least 1 or 2 days a week that are pretty tough, but you sort of get through the training, and then you know, things aren't so bad.
And Sebastian. He wants to know what sports do you enjoy other than swimming?
Yeah, well, obviously, like I said, rugby, in particular rugby league in Australia. I enjoy watching the soccer or football, depending on where you're from, in particular English Premier League. And other than that, I really love all sports. Surfing is great to watch. I also like to surf myself. In Australia we watch cricket. It's kind of boring, but I just leave the TV on and walk back and forth past it to see what's going on. So I have a general interest in a lot of sports.
Do you play cricket then?
I played cricket when I was younger, but I just got sick of standing out in the field all day waiting for the ball to come to me, so it wasn't for me.
Okay, and Sarah wants to know, what do you miss most about Australia when you were abroad?
I guess the obvious answer is friends and family. That can be tough sometimes, but in saying that, I've been out of home now since I was 18, so I don't see my family all that often. Food. Australia has great food, and cuisines from all around the world because we're a very multicultural country, and sometimes when you're travelling in places where you don't really like the food, that could make me a little bit homesick. And I think last but not least is my bed. I put a lot of effort into finding the perfect bed when I bought my house, and when you're staying in hotel beds all the time and moving places, I really look forward to getting back to my own bed when I'm comfortable.
But back to cooking, are you a good cook?
I'm not a very good cook. I cook for fuel, not for flavour.
Oh, okay. Okay, we have a question from Den. Do you know all the words to your national anthem? And we'll follow on the question, can you demonstrate?
I do know all the words. I can rattle off maybe the first couple of lines. I haven't exactly got the perfect voice for singing, but
I think we should. I think we should have you sing.
Australians, all let us rejoice, for we are young and free. With golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is girt by sea. Our land abound in nature's gifts, our beauty's rich and rare. You want me to keep going?
Do you know the words? No, we'll leave it, but thank you.
It's quite a long one, but yeah.
Thank you for demonstrating. We have a question from Elizabeth. She wants to know who's your closest teammate.
Yeah, I guess in the past it's been Daniel Arnemann. He's a 100 backstroker, and I've trained with him for a long time. He wasn't on the team this year, so I'll probably have to say either Matt Abood or Matt Target. Both 100 freestylers. We've all shared the experience of winning the men's relay in Shanghai, which is really special and something that's bonded us a lot. But to be honest, I get along really well with most of the guys on the team. So, it starts to. I've been on the team 4 years now, and it starts to feel like a bit of a family after a while. So I feel really comfortable there and get along with everyone really well.
Okay, you hang out outside of the pool and.
Yeah, outside of swimming, I hang out with my closer team, which is my squad in Sydney, and we go out on weekends or hang out together, so that's cool.
Thank you. We have a Lottie. She wants to know if you like the Netherlands, if so why, and will you ever come back?
Yeah, I love the Netherlands. This is my second time here now within about 2 months. I'm sure I will come back because it's a great training facility. There's great people here in the squad in Netherlands. I'm friends with Peter Van den Hoogenband, so I'd love to come back and see him again and get some advice. And I think if they hold another World Cup like they did this year, then I'd like to come back for that as well.
Oh, nice. Oh, Lottie again. When did you start swimming and why? When did you start?
I learned to swim when I was 3 or 4 years old because I was from a small coastal town that was surrounded by beaches and swimming pools and things like that. So initially water safety. I think I started doing like squads when I was 11 years old, and it was more or less just because I enjoyed it. Before that I'd only really swum at school swimming carnivals and the like, and I'd always been reasonably successful. But for me, swimming feels very natural, and it's somewhere that I feel at ease, and I can relax and take my mind off whatever else is going on in my life. So I originally started swimming because I loved it, and you know, I still do now.
Do you come from a swimming background? Your parents?
No, neither of my parents swim. No one in my extended family has ever been a swimmer or excelled in swimming. So it was, yeah, literally probably lucky that I got the genetics of being tall. And then, other than that, my parents aren't giving me much at all.
Oh, okay, one from Mario. What's the best technique for having a good roll during freestyle?
A good roll. I'm guessing that's to do with momentum or the like. I think for me, getting good momentum or a good roll on, I try and sit over the top of my stroke. So basically, it's all about head position and body position, keeping a really flat body position on the water, and trying to get over the top of your stroke. For me to do that, I use what is considered a lope technique, where basically, this is going to seem strange for you, but the swimmers will understand. I hold.
What are you trying to say?
I hold water for longer with my right hand than my left. So if you see me swimming, it'll look like I'm kind of bouncing onto one stroke than the other. But I hold water longer with my right hand and take a really early breath, and so I almost lunge forward each stroke. And that helps me get momentum, feels like I'm swimming downhill, and gets a good roll on.
Which muscle group do you recommend to strengthen as a freestyle swimmer?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few that are important. I'd say for a start out point, lats are probably the most important. So looking at doing chin-ups, not necessarily a lot of repetitions of chin-ups, but you know, maybe start off by trying to get up to say 6, 7, 8 chin-ups, and then once you can do that, start using weights, hanging weights around your waist, and that will build up strength rather than bulk, and that's really important in swimming, in that power to weight ratio. Other than that, for dives and turns, obviously glutes and quads, and so another thing that I do a lot of is squats and deadlifts. But I think, you know, if you're a younger swimmer, it's important to focus on body weight type exercises. So push-ups, sit-ups, chin-ups is what I started out doing.
Thank you. Lottie. Which part of swimming do you like the most, and which part do you hate the most?
I like racing. I really love the atmosphere, the crowd, the competition. You know, that's really where we get to express ourselves after, you know, months or years of hard work. That's really the moment when you show the world what you've been doing in your spare time, so to speak. What do I hate the most? Getting up early in the morning. I hate it. I'm not really a morning person. When my alarm goes up at 5:30, there's a million other things I'd rather be doing than getting out of bed and driving to the pool. And on top of that, I hate when I get to training, and you know, I do some stretches and things, but that moment before you dive in the water, I stand there looking at the water, I'm like, oh, you know, I really don't want to dive in, but yeah, I hate that bit too, because, you know, if the water's cold, or yeah, basically it's like, this is it, training now. So.
Or whether you're on live chat videos in the afternoon when you'd rather be.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Jesper, how did you start swimming, and how old were you? I think we.
Yeah, I think we covered that.
I think we just covered this one. Thank you, Jesper, if you put it for a second time. Okay, how do you prepare for the big meets like the World Championships or Olympics?
I mean, it's pretty complicated, but to simplify things, I'll sit down after a major meet and target the major meet the following year. So for instance, I've just swum at the World Championships. So after World Championships, I'll sit down with my coach and say, all right, what do we need to do to get ready for, you know, the Commonwealth Games next year for me? And then we'll basically map out our year, plan week by week, month by month, day by day our program. So generally we start off with fitness work or basic aerobic work, then we'll work into back end work for 100 Freestyle, so more lactate production work, and then finally before the race, a few months before the race, we'll work on my speed. So, you know, to put it in basic terms, that's how my year kind of looks working up to a major meet.
Okay, thank you, James. We have a question from Tom Olaf. How long do you swim per session? And are you most in the water or do you train strength?
Yeah, no, mostly in the water, definitely. I train usually just once a day, twice on Mondays. A swim session can really differ from anything from an hour and a half to 3 hours, depending on how much rest I'm having in between sprints or sets. I also do 2 to 3 gym sessions a week. At the moment I'm doing circuit type training to try and lose a little bit of weight and get back into my best shape. But I also do 2 sessions a week of strength training, which is just basically heavy weights, working on, you know, increasing my strength and power.
What about rest? How much rest do you think you take a week? I mean, generally a day, do you?
Yeah, heaps. I mean, I have to have 8 hours sleep a night, or I can't be in my peak training condition. And I also like to have a nap in the afternoon if I can sneak one in.
Yeah, I noticed that one. We have a question from Kedges. James, how would you describe the whole James, how would you describe the whole Arena family and your contribution to them as a new member?
It's an interesting question. I mean, I feel like the Arena family has really welcomed me with open arms. I feel very at home here. So far I get along with everyone that I've met within the Arena family, and I feel like I belong. I feel a sense of belonging within the brand and the employees. What was the second part of the question?
The second part of the question was, can we have that back on?
My contribution to them. I mean, I think first and foremost, contribution for a sponsor is about performance. I have an obligation as an athlete to my sponsors to perform to the best of my abilities, to train to the best of my abilities, and to prepare to the best of my abilities. Beyond that, I think it's important to be a good role model and ambassador for people who you know, are enthusiasts of the brand or follow the brand itself. And then it's just your day-to-day actions and how you carry yourself that is important to the reputation and the image of a brand, and in this case, Arena.
Thank you, James. Okay. Is there a training you remember because it was so much fun, or you felt so good in that training session? Is there anything you remember?
I mean, I always remember doing kind of PBs in training. In terms of being fun, when I was younger, I trained in my hometown. We used to, you know, on days like Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve, or just before Easter, we'd always have fun sessions where we'd do like relay races where it was, you know, 25 metres of running in the water, or dolphin dive, or freestyle arms with breaststroke kick and things like that. That kind of stuff is fun, but I don't necessarily do that anymore. Things have gotten a little bit more serious. So for me now, fun is being successful in training and doing PBs in training, or, you know, getting out of the water after training so exhausted that, you know, my body's barely functioning, but that's a good feeling because I know that I'm pushing myself to my limits.
Thanks, James. You're from Australia. It's gone. That's it. You are from Australia.
That's correct.
Okay, you are from Australia. Kangaroo. Kangaroo is one of its symbols. Have you ever been beaten sometime by a kangaroo?
Funny you should ask that. I have. When I was younger, I was at like an Australian style petting zoo, and I went up to pat a kangaroo, and jumped up and kicked me in the face, and I have a scar on my forehead from its nails. So yeah, I've been attacked by a kangaroo, but that's not very usual. So don't expect, if you ask any normal Australian person, that they will have been attacked by a kangaroo at some stage.
So the kangaroo was better off. That came better off. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But I'd like to find that kangaroo today and teach it a lesson.
Don't mess with me. Okay. Who is your favourite swimmer and who is your hero? This is from in why?
I think if you look back at history, my favourite swimmer would probably have to be a toss-up between Ian Thorpe or Peter Van den Hoogenband. Ian Thorpe was obviously a national hero in Australia, and when I was growing up he seemed to be unbeatable. And then to challenge that, I say Peter Van den Hoogenband, because he did beat Ian Thorpe. And both swimmers, you know, were freestyle swimmers, and I admired the way both of them went about their business in swimming. You know, they were very humble. They weren't outspoken. They were great ambassadors for the sport. And I think, you know, on top of all of that, that they've gone down in the sport as legends, and they've left a legacy. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I really aspire to. And you know, for that reason, I'd say those two.
And how would you like to be remembered?
I mean, at some point, I'd like to be remembered as the fastest man in history. That elusive world record is still waiting to be broken. But I think on top of that, I think, you know, it's a really tough thing to build a legacy worldwide, because there's so many great swimmers across so many events. But you know, within Australia, I'd like to be remembered as one of the greats, I guess, of Australian swimming. And because we have such a great swimming history, you know, I've got a lot of work ahead of me in my career before I even come close to that. So there's always something to aspire to, and I've always got a reason to keep training hard and trying to succeed.
Thanks, James. How often do you do dryland exercise? And how do these and what are these workout sessions like? These workout sets, rather, sorry. Yeah,
so 2 to 3 times a week I do dryland, and you know, usually just weights. In terms of a slightly different dryland, before every session I'll do about half an hour of dryland work, which is aimed at flexibility and core stability. Mm-hmm. So some stretching and some core activation work. Not necessarily working, you know, on sit-ups and things like that to try and get a six-pack, but more cross-connection. So right arm to left leg stuff, which is very important in freestyle, and getting a feel for how your body works, and you know, the connections that occur in your body when you're swimming. It's really complex stuff, and stuff that I'm only just starting to get my head around, but I do half an hour of that stuff every day before training. Yeah, it is.
Did you like training with Renomi? And was there a big difference between training in Holland and training in Australia?
Yeah, training with Renomi was really good. I think she's got a great squad here and a great coach in Marcel, and then a head of high performance in Jacko. In terms of the type of training that she's doing now and the squad here is doing, I'd say there's more similarities than differences. We're at the start of both at the start of the season now, where we're working on our general fitness and aerobic capacity. So we're doing longer sessions with more kilometres. But you know, maybe when it comes close to racing and we start working on speed or different segments of our race, then I'm sure our coaches have some differing techniques.
Okay, thanks for that. Okay, we have what do you like doing when you're not swimming?
I like to hang out with my friends and try and be normal. I like to go to the beach. I like to eat at nice restaurants. You know, on weekends I like to go out and socialise and meet new people. You know, pretty basic stuff. I don't have too exquisite tastes in leisure. I mean, Sydney's a fairly vibrant city, and there's always something going on. So I like to go out experience whatever's happening in the city.
And what are the physical fundamentals for a good swimmer?
I think it differs depending on stroke, depending on different distances, and depending on each individual's technique. I mean, obviously, personally, I think being tall is a really good advantage for myself, and I think a lot of the 100 freestylers at the moment are quite tall. I don't think that's a coincidence, but I think it's important to stay lean as possible. Whilst it's good to be strong, it's not good to have a lot of weight in the water, so you know, sometimes more bulky people find it difficult to float and therefore swim fast. So I think whilst there are some physical attributes that can I guess make it easier, you can always change your physique to suit the sport.
Thanks, Jim. Linda wants to know, do you have any tips for 50 free?
Yeah, I mean, 53 is a tough one because once you get to the stage I'm at, there's not a whole lot you can do to affect the race. There's not really tactics or anything because we just put our heads down and sprint. I guess it's really important to, probably the most important aspect of the race from my perspective is the breakout from your underwater into your swimming. So the most speed you're ever going to have within any given race is off the blocks, and you then need to try and carry that speed smoothly from your underwater work into your swimming, and that's something that I've worked really hard on for both the 50 and the 100 m freestyle. So that's something that you can work on in training with your coach, is carrying that speed, because you're always going to slow down at the end of the race. It's just how it is. So you really need to work on carrying that speed as best you can at the start.
Thank you. Linda wants to know what kind of drills are best for speed, and what stroke do you hate the most?
I hate breaststroke.
That was quick.
I think it is so silly. I mean, you just look at it compared to the rest of the strokes and it's so different. I don't even know who invented it.
Apologies to all the breaststroke swimmers out there.
Yeah, take up freestyle. What do I think is the best drill? I mean, I think a really important thing in freestyle sprinting that is often overlooked is the recovery part of the stroke. And that's basically when your arm's out of the water, this is essentially the recovery part because you're not putting any pressure on the water. So for me, I really try and keep my hands relaxed when in the recovery part of my stroke, and that I think saves energy throughout the race. So some drills I do is basically just swimming along really slowly, almost doing catch up, just loosening off my hands and my arms and dragging my fingertips through the water each stroke, and then trying to take that into my aerobic swimming and then eventually my speed work. And then, you know, if you're relaxed through that part of your stroke and you're taking, 30 strokes a lap, you're saving a lot of energy compared to if you're really stiff and tense through that part of your stroke.
Thank you. Thanks for the question. Good morning, or good afternoon, depends where you are. Is there something in particular that you may suggest to improve one's start or reaction off the blocks? Something you perhaps focus on as a step up to the race?
Yeah, so basically by the time, I work really intensely on my starts in training day to day, usually closer to a competition rather than at the beginning of the season. And the reason that I do so much work on my starts in training is that once I get on the blocks, I want everything to be automatic. I don't want to be thinking about any parts of my dive technique when I'm on the block, because in your head, if you're thinking about technique and not the starter, then that's instantly going to be more time spent in reaction than if you've only got one thought, and that's getting off the block quickly. So when I step up on the block, the only thing I'm thinking of is getting off there as quick as I can. Day to day in training, I've been working more recently on, so obviously I do a track start, I've been working more on my back foot and the power I'm producing from my back foot off the kicker. And you know, I think I'm probably not the best person to ask about starts because I'm still mastering them myself. But another important thing is your angle of entry into the water. I think if you go too deep off the start and you lose your momentum, then you put yourself behind the 8 ball from the start. So I really try and flatten out my dive and carry that speed.
Thanks, James. Okay, Margarita, if you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Flying. I think that would have to be the coolest thing. Being invisible could also have its advantages.
Really? What advantages would they be?
You could do anything. I could go back to school and slap the teacher in the head that I didn't like and he couldn't see who it is. I mean, there's so many things, funny things you could do if you're invisible. But yeah, invisible is mainly for comedy reasons.
Yeah.
Flying is obviously just because it's so cool and I'd love to be able to fly. And you know, if I had a race in say Barcelona and I had to get from Sydney, I wouldn't have to line up at the airport for a couple of hours and then sit in, you know, tiny seats. I could just get there myself.
Okay, well, on the subject of flying, I think we're finished. So thank you for
Very good.
being with us.
Thank you.
Thank you, James.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you guys
Thanks,
for your
guys.
questions. Bye.